I'd like to get feedback from you if it does work. So while I'm talking, if you could all open up your version of Sugar. Hopefully most of you are on your computer.
Thank you for doing
Okay. And we're going to be making a spreadsheet with your grant funds.
All right, bye.
And I mentioned when I got on the call that if you want a training certificate, there'll be two things. You need to make sure you sign in, so there's a record in the chat window. Okay, I decided to mute everybody except for me. And so I will send a training certificate after you send the spreadsheet, and to make sure that you're in the chat window, you've signed in. So don't forget to sign in. So we're going to talk about where we are at with Race to the Top and what happens now, how to find how much money or hours are left in your funding stream, open requisition, and see how many open requisitions there are, make an action plan, and then have any questions. Does that sound okay? I'm going to unmute people. So you can either put in the chat window or, okay, I got one yes. Sounds good. Nicole, thanks.
Yes.
Yes, and I got another yes. Sounds good. Kelly, yes, yay, I got 5 yeses and no no's, so I'm going to go. Okay, so we all have the power to create change. I like that affirmation. Okay, so we're going to create change and give some of the change around. Okay, so we get to celebrate. We had $663,000 to spend, and we are now at, when I looked this morning, we're down to $4,000. On Wednesday, it was $12,000. Today, it was $4,000, but let's go look. I'm going to, we'll go in and then I'll have Monica make some announcements, okay? So I am going into Sugar.
Rick, that was part of my announcement, was how much left we have in the GAE, because I just checked it. So I'm just going to start out with that, if that's okay.
Sure.
So congratulations to everyone. We're on our final spend down. We have $1,495.91 left in the GAE, and that has all been allocated, so good job. This spend down does account for WIG programs that are in the rating cycle for April and May. So you guys know who you are and which programs those are. I'm sure you've had conversations with your QRIS coordinator. So those funds are accounted for. We will still have those funds for those programs. And then just keep in mind that all these funds need to be spent by June 30th. And then I just wanted to go over some important, I guess one more announcement. And Rick, you're going to talk about this a little bit and show everyone how you can do that, is transfer. In order to spend down, you can transfer QI to coaching and coaching to QI, and Rick will show us how to do that in Sugar. And then just some important dates. We have May 8th is the last day for budget revisions. May 30th is the last day for spend down. And we're thinking,
Okay,
sure.
I'm going to try to write these on here. So June 30th is the last day.
Last day for spend down, and that's for all funding streams.
Okay. Now, what does that mean? Does that mean that they have to have an invoice or what?
So the last day they can, that's not for, they can bill us in July, but that's the last day they can actually spend those funds.
Okay.
Monica, are you talking about all funding streams you said?
Yes.
How do we do payroll then so early?
What do you mean? I'm sorry.
Sherry,
who is this and what do you,
Sherry, this is exactly what we've done every other year. This is Emily. So,
okay, so we're talking
payroll,
about
so if payroll is for June, for folks that have worked in June, then that is an expense that occurred in June, and you can do payroll whenever you normally do it.
Oh, okay. She just said something about spend down at May 30th, so that was a month ahead. So I was just wondering how to anticipate payroll for a month. That's what I was trying to think about.
Well, I meant to say June. Sorry, that's why we're putting it in writing.
Oh, good. Thank you. That makes it better. Thank you.
Yeah. And then, Rick, if you want to add to, and hopefully everyone has heard this, May 8th will be the last day for budget revisions. And we don't have a set date in July. Yes.
Yes.
Monica and Emily, this is Sandy from Douglas County. I just want to make sure I'm understanding exactly. I know that for the system building budget, because I know we're talking race to the top, but for the system building budget, you are extending that for 3 months. Is that for just salary and fringe, but yet all of the other money needs to be spent down by June 30?
Sandy, this is Emily. It's exactly what happened last year. So, no.
So
You have, so the 3-month extension is
accounts for the whole
operations
system
of
building.
business as usual.
Okay, I was
But if you're
confused by the
spending-
very
yeah.
first one that said all funding streams. That was confusing. Okay, thank you.
Mhm. You guys, this is exactly what we've done every single year for end of fiscal year. The only difference is that we're requiring that budget revisions be submitted by May 8th. Last year, we got budget revisions at 4 and 4:30 on June 30th, and that is not appropriate. That is not how money, we're wanting you guys to project out your spending. It's, let's see, 5/6 of the way through the year, so you guys should have a pretty good idea by May 8th of what the rest of the year looks like. So the other piece is we have over 160 budgets that we manage, so the end of the fiscal year, just from an invoicing perspective and budgets, is very, very intense. So that's kind of where we're at with those pieces. So the only difference from what you guys have done in years past really is that budget revision deadline. So
Okay, any more from QRAS coordinators?
That's it from me.
Okay, cool. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, so after money is gone, and it looks like it's gone, so applications will no longer be approved unless you have money in your pot. And we're going to talk about the money in your pot. So because some of you may have some money or enough left to approve applications. And what if you can't spend by the date? I have a question actually to the QRS folks. If people don't think that they can spend all their money that they have in their pot, can they return it to the GAE and then we open it up for a little bit? That's a question.
let's see what that figure would look like. But
Okay.
we would need to talk with our leadership here about that piece.
Okay, so essentially you still make a ticket if you think you can't spend it all, and then we'll, I'll forward it to the QRS folks and we'll talk about it, whether we would open it up or not. Okay, so what I would like you all to do is to, I'm going to put this link in the chat box. So I want you to copy the link or click on it. And what that will do is open up the spreadsheet that I'm going to have you guys working on while we do this. So can everybody see the example spreadsheet? Yes. Okay, Nicole got it. And then over here on the right is the download button. So what I'm going to have you all do is click the download button. And should open up the example that I have here. Is Sherry on the call? I think I saw her. Sherry, are you here?
I am.
Oh, good. So we still can use you as an example, correct?
Certainly.
Okay, so Sherry and I were talking, and actually a couple other people were talking, and we thought this would be a good Sugar Friday call, so that's how it started. Okay, so you click the down, after you click the link, you click the download button. Now I'm going to ask you to save it sort of in the same format that it's named with your count, with the date, name, your council abbreviation, funding streams to do. So because if and again, it's going to be up to you if you want to send this back to me to get a training certificate. So I'm going to go back in and do file, whoops, save. And on mine it says it was disabled, so I'm going to enable saving. Okay, I have to do it again, file save as. And I'm going to put it on actually in my downloads. So you put the date in, you can change my name to your name, put in your council abbreviation, and leave funding streams to do. And then click save. Monica just typed in a comment. So Monica, do you want to, I'm going to go ahead and copy this and put it on your notes page.
Thanks, Rick. I just want to make sure that's clear to everyone that the contract amendment, and we're still looking to see if for the 3-month, we're calling it an extension, but it's not. It's going to be an option letter or a contract amendment, and we're working with our finance team to see what that's going to look like. But that's essentially a new budget, so you're not going to have your funds from state fiscal year 16-17 rolling over to that 3-month budget.
Yeah, that's an important clarification. Are there any questions on that?
Okay, thanks, Rick, for going back to that.
Sure. Okay. So in A4 of the spreadsheet, you're going to write down race to the top. We're going to do that together. So on the spreadsheet, type race to the top. So we're leaving the example up at the top. Okay, in the next rows, write down other funding streams that you have. So Sherry, what are the other funding streams I should write here for you?
I have school readiness and ITQA.
Okay, so go ahead in the other rows, write down those. Okay, what I'm going to have you do, so I don't get too far ahead of you, is this is a little challenging since I can't see all your computers. So if you're done with writing your funding streams in the spreadsheet, just type done in the chat window. If you want me to repeat something, just say wait or repeat or something like that. Excellent, we got 5 people done. Good, I can move on, it looks like. But definitely, if you need help, put in the window. I'm going to open up the door so Jose can yell at me if somebody says, wait. Okay. Okay, so we put the race to the top in A4 and then the other funding streams down below. Okay, so we're going to go in and see all your funding streams. So essentially in Sugar, you're going to click on the funding stream menu, or if you don't have one, you click on the down arrow and choose funding streams. So I'm going to go in. And we're all going in at once, so it might take. And then click funding streams, or if you don't have it on this menu, choose the down arrow and then funding streams. Okay, so you should see your 3 funding streams, or Sherry's 3 funding on my screen, and on your screen, whatever funding streams that you have. So I know you're going to be switching back and forth between screens. So I'm going to pause more often. Okay, so on the list, we're going to all go into our Race to the Top funding stream. So you go down in the list and click it to open. So in this list, it's on the top. So I'm going to click the Race to the Top. Okay, and the first one that we're going to do is click on the QI dollars detail. So after you click on the QI dollars detail, click and type done so I know where everybody's at. And again, if you need me to repeat, please say that in the window. Good. At least the people that are typing in the window are keeping up. Feel free to, if you can't type, just shout it out in the chat box. Okay, I'm going to wait for a few more people to be done. Okay, I'm going to move on. Okay, so the what we're going to be looking at is this QI dollars remaining to be assigned. So I'm going to have you type that amount, whatever your amount is, in the QI dollars remaining to be in the B4 of the spreadsheet. So on Sherry's, it's $1,152.72. And I have a cheat sheet so I can up there. So I'm typing 1115.72 in the first, well, actually the second column and row 4. So that's the money to be assigned. So again, go ahead and write done if you got it in there. All right. Then the next 2 that you're going to type is the pooled dollars remaining in C4 and the participant funds remaining in D4. Let me make sure that pooled is going to be in C4, so that's 600, and participants remaining is 4118.55. So here's the participants funds remaining and the pool. Go ahead and type done when you got actually those in. And again, make sure, the most important part is if you're not done, then make sure you tell me something. I don't want people to fall behind, so I'm happy to pause. Okay. All right, now we're going to discuss this in the pooled plus the participant, or these 2, the money to assign and the pooled. I highlighted these wrong. So the 115, 1115 and 600 is money that the council has left. Let's see, I'm going to make sure. And the participants, this is how much money the participants have left to spend. So I'm going to go back in here. And so participants are the requisitions. So in this case, she has a little bit less than half of the money left to spend. So this is how much money they have in their requisition pot. And in Sherry's, she actually has 2 pots of money. She has some money remaining to be assigned and the pooled amount. And one of the first combine these two, the money to be assigned and pooled, because what happens with these amounts is that this money to be assigned is for new requisitions, whereas this pooled amount is for requisitions that already exist and you want to add some more money. So let's say there's one provider that that wants to spend like $5 more, and so you could take it out of the pooled, and give them the $5 more. But the problem with Sherry's right now is that she really doesn't have enough for a new requisition, and so this money is just sort of going to sit right there, unless it's like a $600 one. So it's sort of up to you all want to do, and this is with all funding streams. If you have QI dollars remaining to be assigned and pooled, you might want to put them all in pools. So some of you know how to do that, but others may want us to help you, the help desk. So if you want those two to be combined, then send a help ticket. And so what I'm going to have you do is on your spreadsheet, if you want to create a ticket, this is your to-do column. So you write in your to-do column ticket to add the assigned amount plus pool. Does that make sense to everybody? It's a little bit challenging, but just say yes if you understand.
Hey, Rick, this is Emily. Am I understanding that if it's Race to the Top and you're saying there's dollars to be assigned, that you're moving it to the pool?
Well, it's up to the councils. So in the
because the way my understanding just specifically with Race to the Top or about that piece is that somebody had to achieve a level 2 or higher to access those funds. So it doesn't function like other funding streams.
I'm not sure I understand. This is, yeah, the QI dollars remaining to be assigned is for new applications. So whether it's Race to the Top, school readiness, or whatever, if
right.
there's a new application, it pulls from here. But
right. So if there's no new application, it should not pull from there, just specifically regarding Race to the Top.
No, what if there's no new applications, we actually want to move all this amount into pool so they can use it.
Is that what you guys agreed with Karen and Colin and stuff last week? Because that's not our understanding of how that money works.
For Race to the Top or for the other?
For Race to the Top specifically, in order to access that money, it has to be a new application.
Well, we just send a ticket, because you guys can't do this. Send a ticket and we'll talk about it. Some of them, the small amounts we talked about to move them over, but if it's a really large amount, then that has to be discussed.
But who's we, Rick?
So,
because we weren't in that meeting with you and Sharon and Karen and all that, so that this change in policy has not been communicated to our team.
Okay,
about
so
Race to the Top.
so what do you want them to do then? Just leave this in there?
So Rick, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Lisa. Where you have your cursor right now, the 11-15-72, that is money the state has already approved for the council to have. Is that not right?
Correct. This would be some very, very few councils have any money left in there.
Right.
But there
I
could
have a
be,
zero, but I can.
Yeah, and what happens actually in Race to the Top is that for new application, it actually pulls from both of these. But I was trying to make it simple because if there's still dollars remaining in here for like school readiness, ICQA and all that, if you have a small amount, it's a good idea to move it. So actually, Emily, the program answers the question that you were sort of asking, is that for new applications, it moves this over.
Right.
So
but my understanding, Rick, is that the QI dollars remaining to be assigned, those dollars are not assigned to a specific MOU. Is that correct?
Correct.
Right. So the only way to pull that is to get a new MOU.
Right.
And that is a change in policy for Race to the Top that we have not heard of.
You mean what is the change in policy?
So in order to access the QI dollars remaining to be assigned, someone must either achieve a level 2 or be eligible for a milestone award. If they have not done those two things, that money does not come out of that dollars to be assigned.
Right, okay. So
the only way to access Race to the Top dollars is for programs and then from the pooled perspective, those pooled funds can be used to support programs who have already achieved those required, the incentives. What you're suggesting is that all of this, whatever's remaining in the dollars to be assigned, just be dumped in the pool to send out more to those folks that already have MOUs.
Right, and that's a change from what your understanding is.
Correct. So the thing is so with this GAE, we have a lot of, so my understanding as well was part of the exercise we did in December, going through everybody's sugar, is that this really shouldn't be an issue because it was already out there. And I understand that there was some confusion around splitting the Race to the Top funding stream and all that, but the way it should have, the ideal way it should have been is this wouldn't be there unless there was already an MOU in the first place. We know that that's not what happened. We know that we've had councils waitlisting MOUs when they don't have to waitlist MOUs,
right.
And all that piece, but we can't be moving. So the way Race to the Top works is you have to achieve that level 2 or that level 3 to 5 milestone in order to access it. By moving this money to just basically beef up people who've already achieved their maximum award is a change in policy.
Even for the small amounts?
What is small? Because if you look at 11, this amount, for example, on the screen, that's a home provider.
Okay.
So if a home provider achieved a level 2 or a one classroom program achieved a level 2, they could still send the MOU, and that's appropriate.
Could they request that if they don't, like in this case, if they don't have a home provider, could they actually make a request to their QRS coordinator to use this for like a milestone or for something else?
So a milestone award would make sense. Again, there's been an achievement, right? But something else, unless you can demonstrate you cannot cover it, it's a WIG site and you cannot cover it in your existing budgets, my understanding is no.
Okay, but so they can't even, okay, that's fine. Well, but with the school readiness and what about with school readiness and ITQA if they have some funds left there?
So I am less familiar with those funding streams, but there are maximum QI awards.
Okay. Okay.
So I think the thing is, and so I think those funding streams are a little different, and I would be much more, I'd like to look into that more before I can answer that, but I can say specifically for Race to the Top, the entire purpose of the QI is that the program has done something to earn that, and that there's a maximum amount. So from a fairness and equity perspective, if I earned my level 2 in May of 2015 and got my maximum amount, and now suddenly there's extra money, are you going to go back to all those, how are you going to make sure that it's equitable?
Okay, I had misunderstood this, and we'll talk some more, because my concern is that what if, you know, there is a lot of money in that pot, is that okay just to forfeit it at the end? Because,
Yes.
okay.
Unless there's been a conversation that our team was not part of, that you guys were, we were not, so that's where, and that's happened before, so that's where, that's totally possible, but if that's also actually totally okay to forfeit. Same with CCAP. We have several councils that did not recruit at the rate that they thought they were able to, and those funds are coming back, and that is absolutely okay.
Well,
and
in
it's
this
not
case,
a negative mark or anything, or part of any sort of decision-making process about need of future funding.
okay, okay. I think I got it. I'm sorry that I was confused about it. So
No, it's okay. I just wanted to, I mean, and I think, Rick, you know, we're speaking about I don't know what those big pots look like, but in theory, that my understanding was the process that we all went through in January and December was to try to get these pots as close to what's already out there as possible.
So you know, if the should the I think it might be relevant to have the councils talk directly with the QRS coordinators if they have questions about these pots. Does that make sense to you, Emily?
Yeah, totally.
Okay. Yeah, because I don't want to confuse it anymore.
I think what we should be looking at is how much money is sitting out in MOUs that is unspent, because a lot of councils have a lot of unspent dollars in QI that are already tied to MOUs. So before we even can think about moving money from there to pooled, we need to be looking at the, you know, here the participants fund remaining, for example, is $4,118. So, you know, sometimes I think that is where, how can we make sure that that's not a photo finish and that folks either make decisions around spending or forfeit, which could then impact their pool as well, and then other funding decisions can be made. But that piece to me is the bigger, the unspent coaching hours where it's reimbursable from, you know, those unspent, those unused coaching hours, and then that QI piece.
So yeah, what Emily's saying is in your participant funds remaining, this is a really important thing to get people to spend down. So on D4, here's where you put that amount in. So I'm going to go through the requisitions and show you which ones, you know, to look at. So that's an important part of the pot. The other thing, when you have, because when you forfeit funds, they end up in pooled dollars remaining. And so these are available to, you know, if one site spends a little bit extra and one spends a little less, then that you can use this sort of to balance things out. If it's a large amount, then you should talk to your QRS coordinator. Okay, and again, I think you said you guys were going to talk about it. If there are large amounts, what my concern was is you know, we're now down to 0 for applicants, and if we have a lot of money in pools in the QI dollars to be assigned, is sort of, do you want to, you know, have them make a ticket and say, you know, you can use this money for GAE, but you said you guys will discuss that. So we'll do a follow-up. If anybody wants to discuss it with their QRIS coordinator, if they have a lot of money and they want to return it, just talk to them and then we'll figure it out. Okay, there was a couple. Monica said for ITQA, there's a conversion with the QRS coordinator for special approval such as capital improvements. Do you want to say a little bit more about that, Monica?
Hello, can you guys hear me?
I can now.
Okay, great, thanks. So I don't think this is anything new for ITQA, but it's special approval, especially if it's a larger purchase, and usually these conversations happen during our monthly calls or I guess daily if needed. But everyone that's had ITQA, it's been year 3, so they're familiar with this, and they call their QRS coordinator if they need, want to spend certain funds for want to give a program additional funds for building a wall or putting a window in a classroom, something like that. And then I guess if anyone has questions about this, they can either call me or talk to their QRS coordinator. So nothing's changed with ITQA so far.
Okay. And we have a question from Tiffany. Tiffany, I'm going to, your question is if you have extra coaching hours, should you transfer or to the pool or forfeit? Well, that's essentially the same thing as when you forfeit, they go to the pool. And generally, yes, that you should put them in the pool, but we'll talk a little bit more about it. Is that okay?
Are you talking specifically about RTT?
No, I think any of the funding streams. But the RTT is the most critical, so we can see how much money is left. Well, actually, for all of them.
Yeah, but, you know.
And that it doesn't matter if it's internal coaching, but it does matter more if it's external coaching.
Rick, I think that's a good question, but once again, it's kind of a case by case. So it's different if it's $50 or $50,000.
Okay, yeah.
So Tiffany, if you want to maybe contact Michelle and you guys can look at that program together.
Okay, so I'll put case by case basis. Contact coordinator.
And I apologize. I know that wasn't really a good answer to the question, but once again, we'll talk to our leadership and see have a better plan that kind of fits everyone's situation, because I know the timeline's coming up.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So we're back in Sugar. Click on internal coaching detail. So I'm going back. So I'm now on the internal coaching detail. Okay, so you're going to look at 2 areas, the internal coaching hours remaining. Put that in E4, and then type the pooled internal coaching remaining in F4. So in this case, we have 189.67 and 16.33. Okay, once you get those 2 amounts, go ahead and write done, or let me know if you need me to repeat it. have any duns yet. So again, I'm back in the funding stream. I clicked on internal coaching detail, and then I looked at internal coaching hours remaining and the pooled internal coaching hours remaining, and I put them in E4 and F4. Okay, now I have 4 duns and no please repeat. So I'm going to continue. Okay, click on the external coaching detail tab. Some of you may have internal, some may have external, some may have both. So I'm now on the external coaching tab. And in this case, for Sherry, her external coaching dollars remaining is 0 because she doesn't use external coaching. And then the pooled external coaching requisition remaining balance is 0 also. So put those 2 amounts in G4. I'm going to put 0, and in H4 I'll put 0. Okay, and then again do a done, and we got some done. Okay, and we talked a little bit about it. What if there are too many hours left to do? So the big thing is to talk to your QRS coordinator. There is the option to transfer to spending, and essentially what I'd like you to do is send a ticket, and then if there's a lot, then I'm going to go over again. But because of the, especially Race to the Top, we have to do it manually because it's locked down. Okay, so if you have any items that you want to add to K4, then you can click back in K4 and add.
Hey, Rick.
Yep.
I have a question.
Sure, Margaret.
On the spreadsheet, it says external hours to assign in G, and then in H it says internal pooled dollars. Didn't we already do internal pooled dollars in F? Shouldn't external pooled dollars?
Good, good edit. When I was typing, yeah, so everybody edit H1 to external. You get a gold star, Margaret, for catching that.
Thanks.
Okay. Okay, so now what we're going to do is actually look at the requisitions because then we'll see each individual provider sort of what to do. So I'm going to have you click on the requisitions menu. So up here, and again, if you don't see it, you can always use the more, but I'll click on requisitions. Okay, so most of you may not have a filter, so I'm going to get rid of my filter. So right now, because I was testing it, I'm going to click the X on create. And so if your screen looks like this, then you're in the right spot. So I'll click create to create the filter. So right here. And then what you're going to do is choose the filter. In the select funding stream is in the and then you start typing right to the top. Mine's loading, so it's slow because everybody's doing the same thing. It's probably more slow. And you only have your own, but I have to type the abbreviation for ECC SLB. Make sure you choose this year. Okay, so we've chosen the funding streams, and we're going to add another row. So over on the right, there's a plus. And then we're going to say we want remaining dollars that's greater than 0. So I'm scrolling down to see remaining dollars. Over here I select is greater than and put 0 here. So these are, after it loads, these are going to show us requisitions where you have remaining dollars more than 0. So again, is greater than. Over here I typed 0. Okay, and you can see now, so the remaining dollars here, this first one has 600, the second one has $4.03, the third one has 1,200. So obviously there's a big difference on what you would do with these. But over in the top over here, this tells you how many requisitions that you have. Oh, okay, Margaret is having trouble with the initial filter. So I'm gonna, so again, we clicked, I'm gonna just sort of repeat. And Margaret, if you can catch up, let me know if you got caught up. So, was that you, Margaret?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm kind of slow on filters, so I couldn't get it to race to the top, filter to race to the top.
Okay, so did you get funding streams now?
I have funding. Is any of, oh, there it is, okay, race to the top.
And then you start typing race to the top and it should, you see your funding? Okay, and then the dollars is greater than, so let me know when you get that done.
Okay. Remaining dollars new?
Yeah, remaining dollars new.
Is equal, is greater than?
Is greater than.
Uh-huh, and then what is it?
0. Just type a 0 in the,
0.
Uh-huh.
Okay, okay, thank you.
You're welcome. And then what you'll see in the top is how many requisitions that you have. So in Sherry's example, she has 10. So see up at the top left. So now go to your spreadsheet and type in 10 for requisitions that are more than 0. Okay, right. Done. Thank you for being brave, Margaret, and things behind. Done? Okay. So, Sherry, are you still on? Okay. If we look at this, see that $4.03? It makes sense to me to forfeit these small amounts. Is it okay with you if we go and forfeit this one? Okay, cool. So what we're going to do is for the small ones we're going to forfeit this $4 and it's going to go back into the pool. Remember, she had $600 in the pool sort of to start with. So we're going to so it's this $4.03. So over here on the left, we click it. Okay. While I'm doing this, I'm going to ask you to chat sort of what is your threshold for forfeiting. So $4 seems good to me. Is $10 good? So just sort of chat while I'm doing this, what your threshold is. How much do you normally forfeit? Up to what amount? So when you're forfeiting, I want you first to double check the remaining dollars so you have the right requisition. So I'm going down, scrolling down, and there's the $4.03. Okay, so that's good, that it's the right one. Okay. Then you go into actions and forfeit remaining balance to the pooled requisition. So I'll click action, forfeit remaining balance to pooled requisition, and then the transfer justification. Margaret has $5 with a question mark. So balance of $4 is less than our, and whatever cutoff you normally use. That's what I chose for transfer justification. Of 403 is less than $10. Okay, then you click this button. So it's over up in the top right-hand corner. Taking longer to save seems to be each time I do something. We only have one person that put, is $5 the amount? I find it difficult to justify the effort it takes to spend less than 25. But generally, I am looking to forfeit in. Okay, I like, yeah, it is hard to spend less than 25. So Lisa put in 15 as her amount. So I'm glad somebody else spoke up on what they do. Okay, so I just wanted to show you what happened after it saves. Well, it's still saving. I'm going to see actually if it, sometimes that stays on there. I'm going to go to the funding stream. So in this case, I'm back up at the top of the window and there's a, on the right side, you can go to the funding stream. We need the Jeopardy ding, ding, ding. Okay, and when I look back on the QI dollars tab, it's now instead of 600, it's 604.03. So that that $4 went back into the pool. Okay, after you do those changes, you may need to edit your spreadsheet because before we had $600, and so now you would change it to, in this case, 604. But you will be going through and doing your alls, and so if you do this, you can go ahead and edit your spreadsheet so you know how much you have.
Or do the evaluation of your requisitions first, then fill out your spreadsheet.
Yeah, correct. We just did one, but yeah, I would go through all of them, and then at the last one, right. Yep, I totally agree. Okay, so again, write done if you understand where we're at. Okay, got one done, two done. Okay. Okay, we're going to do the same thing for hours. So click again on requisition. Okay, and instead of remaining dollars, we're going to change it to hours remaining. So I'm going to go back in the filter and see right here it was remaining dollars. Okay, yeah, Margaret, we can definitely go back and do the forfeit. Well, actually, I'm going to be sending the recording as well as this PowerPoint, so it may help, and you can go to the about slide 40 as we were at. Okay, so in remaining dollars, instead of that, we're going to choose hours remaining, and then is greater than 0. So hours remaining is greater than 0. So in this case, there are 9 requisitions that have more than, there's still hours remaining. And again, there's a really big difference between these, you know, the 2 hours versus 12 hours. And so you may have a different strategy. So I'm going to put 9. And actually what I did for Sherry, I suggested that she forfeit 4 of the dollar requisition and call 5 of them to say, get your spending going or something like that. So you can put whatever to do.
Hey, Rick.
Yeah?
Under the hours greater than 0, you have 9, but 9 is really the number of requisitions she has remaining, not hours.
Yeah.
She would need to add all those hours up.
No, it's actually, I meant to put hour requisition.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, if you want to edit that, it would. So this is like 9 providers she has to contact or work with.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks for having me clarify that.
Can I ask another clarifying question on this one? So I think there are some of us that aren't using any GAE in hours. Is this spreadsheet for the purpose of seeing those statuses and getting us to, you know, pay attention to that GAE, or is it everything?
Well, this is really for you on how you want to use it. This is not required at all. You know, this is just for you to make your own sort of to-do list, and, you know, you can set your own priorities. So, you know, for you specifically, you know, I'm sure you know what you want to do with this. You know, you could put whatever you want in your to-do column.
Yeah, I definitely see it as informative. I also, you know that with these programs that have multiple funding streams, you might make a very conscious decision to pull more out of one than the other, or spend one down before you start the other, et cetera.
Right. Yeah, so yeah, definitely. Here's where the strategy thing to put something into it may take you, you know, quite a while to decide what you want to do in your to-do.
Thanks for the answer. That's all I needed.
Sure.
An idea of what this is used for our purposes, to understand where we're at and be better managers. That's great.
Okay, cool. Okay, so you've typed the amount in, and then, you know, we don't have time to talk about how to transfer the dollars to hours or vice versa. But again, if it's raised to the top, I have to help you through that because of the budgets are locked down so much. So send a ticket, and if there's a whole bunch at once, that's much easier than doing one at a time. So, but you may want to forfeit, like we talked about. If you have some pooled, you may want to add hours or do what Lisa was saying, strategize between the different funding streams. And again, if you have a lot, talk to your QRS coordinator because I don't know what we want to do with the amounts in the pot for Race to the Top especially. I think the goal was to spend that all, but I'm just worried that there's going to be a lot of money in a lot of buckets. But it's up to the OEC what they want to do. Okay, now we're a couple minutes over.
Rick, I don't have questions on this, but I've submitted quite a number of tickets with some concerns about this update and what it's doing with spending.
Oh, did you, how recently have you sent the tickets?
Started yesterday, and
Okay.
what I'm seeing is that it's duplicating from the time the spending record is submitted. It's causing duplications of spending detail items, and it's really a mess. I thought it was only with other vendors, but this morning, just before the call, I found that happening with Discount School Supply. And if somebody makes a mistake and processes that, it's really going to be a mess.
Okay, I will look at that. That sounds like, did you mark it as urgent?
Yes, I did.
Okay, good. Okay, I was in
And
meetings.
sent several screenshots for you.
Okay, I appreciate it. I was in a lot of meetings yesterday. So.
Yes, I'm sure. I'm sure there's a lot, but this one is a big one, I think.
Yeah, it sounds huge. And Emily put up the second question. Why do chicken coops only have 2 doors? If it had 4, it would be a chicken sedan. Wow. Nicole, that's great. Well, and Emily too. Thank you. Okay.
Yeah. So, Rick, I wanted to add one really important thing to our conversation earlier about that race to the top.
Okay.
You know how that one that we were looking at could maybe do like a 2 classroom, fully funded 2 classroom award, but not a 3 or 4? Right. If, like, I think it was Sherry's counsel, so if ECC SLV, let's say they get a 3 classroom center that achieves a level 2, applies, right? They can award that amount. It won't be the full 1,200, but if that is something that they would like to do, they can.
Oh,
so
okay.
I think of it that way too. So if you have these wonky kind of funny amounts, I know it doesn't seem, and then if you do have that awarded amount and then you have some left in your pool, that might be a way to make them whole. I don't know, but like think about it from that perspective too. Again, I know it's not as great as being able to give them the full 1,200 if they, had been able to access the JE, but at least it would spend that piece down.
Yeah,
that's I just wanted to put that out there. Or, she gets 2 family homes that get a level 2, figuring out, okay, if these 2 are coming in and you just want to split that equally between them, then that's, as a council, you can make that decision when you're at that point where it's not enough to like fully fund what's coming in there.
Cool. And again, some of you may know how to do that, but you'll probably have to send a ticket and CC your QRS coordinator, especially for things like that.
Yeah, and we don't want to drive a ton of stuff your way either, Rick, but I just wanted people to feel like they can spend that money. It's not locked up if you've got someone who's met the eligibility of that money. So it may just not be the full amount.
Yeah, it's challenging, and I know it's okay for them to send it because when you have little bits of money in different pots, it is challenging. So that was I like your answer on that, on what to do with that assigned funds remaining.
Yeah. So because we want, we want you all to be able to, use what's in your budget, and I know that was kind of frustrating last year with the way the Race to the Top was set up. But it also needs to follow the same eligibility criteria that was set up for that funding stream.
Yeah. So if everybody has one more application and any money left in the assigned funds, then we can work on that. Is what Emily's saying.
Yeah. Because we want to, that's for, we want to recognize those providers and let you guys do that too. That's the fun part, right?
Yep. Okay, so if you have further questions, and I know I'm sorry again for going over, but send a support ticket. If you want the certificate, send the spreadsheet as an attachment to support. Oh, Lisa said learning to add a second filter was worth the entire call. Yay, I'm glad I helped somebody. on the call. Please give any feedback in the window or send an email or whatever. Again, I added the done as an option to try to know where everybody was at. Thank you, Margaret. Thanks, Sherry. Dreams do come true. Yes, they do. Emily. Thank you, Amy.
So I can tell you the ticket number.
Oh, you're great. Okay.
It's 16351.
Funky addition of items. Is it
Yep.
the funky ticket?
Well, see, this started yesterday morning, so it's been not quite 24 hours that I started, noticing these. And I actually noticed one the day before, and I thought it was a coach doing a spending record wrong.
Well, it's already gone to our tier 3. They recognized that it was an immediate problem. And actually, Bill is tier 3, and he has actually a person he goes to if he doesn't understand. So it's actually at tier 4 now. So you made it to tier 4 in less than 24 hours. So good job.
Yeah, I mean, when I was noticing it just on other vendors, I was worried, but not so worried. Once it hit a preferred vendor, that if somebody hits, like last week I was on vacation. Well, I was on vacation. I was at a conference. So I was doing a lot of processing of records without having the paper documents in front of me. I had access to electronic versions if I chose to look at them of our paper. But for an order to one of those preferred vendors, I easily could have said, send that order now, without looking at it close enough to have found this error. And I could have ordered a lot of stuff and had a lot of things duplicated in the process, which would have made all of us not very happy. This discount one, the last one I submitted this morning was the first one I saw that was to a preferred vendor that it would have triggered an actual order by changing a status. So.
Well, I'm so glad you found that, and hopefully it's not, it's minor, in a few, but definitely it's already two levels above me. So it is critical. So I appreciate you notifying us.
Yeah, and on the last ticket that I related to this topic that I submitted this morning, I added a comment that, this save time has become very significant. It's taking about a minute and a half to make a change on a record and hit save. And my financial person came into me this morning and told me she had actually calculated the time. She has 100 records she needs to change the status to reconcile on today. That's 2.5 hours of waiting.
Wow. Is that this one, the Easy Connect problem unable to see prior draft, or is that different?
No, so like the ticket we were just looking at, I have actually provided several pieces of feedback on that one, that Yikes one.
Oh, okay. So it's the same ticket that we were just on. You just added more. Yes. Okay.
I just added more detail as time went along. And obviously, I know, and I've told her how to avoid having to wait in between each one by opening a new one while one is saving. So that she can at least get a few done at a time. But that's a lot of waiting that we are doing. And every time, like when one of my coaches submits a spending record, I literally have to wait through saves twice because I'm the same person who does the pre-approval and the approval. So if there was any way, as this is resolved, to resolve that wait time amount, it would be greatly appreciated.
Yeah, I definitely hear you, and that, 2.5 hours for those records. Is there, one of the, I would just do some, while we're waiting for Bill and Dustin, I would just do some regular computer stuff right now, keep only one application open, so sugar, and then make sure you clear your cache, reboot often, because a lot of times it's sort of memory issues too. So that I would just do that, until we find a better response, just to make your system optimize as much as possible.
Yeah. All righty. Well, appreciate it.
Sure.
It's just, it's definitely, we were not having this issue until this upgrade.
Oh, that's a bummer.
That's what I can tell you, is that, it would take it some time before, but since this upgrade, it has become significantly a longer issue.
Okay. Well, that's a pain. I understand.
Yeah. So.
I don't have to do like 100 of these at once. I usually only do one, so it's not.
I know. I know. That's why I did that little calculation. And then I went back into my financial person. I said, did I do this right? Because this says 2.5 hours. And she's like, yeah, that's exactly how it calculates.
Yeah. Well, I definitely remember back, when these computers were just starting, where I would turn my computer on, go have coffee, go to the bathroom, talk with people, and then the computer load, after I waited even more. So it's very painful. I have been there, but we're spoiled now.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate Rick, and I hope they can figure that one out, because it could be a real mess. And it makes me want to say maybe it's worth letting everybody know to really pay attention to their records before they start processing things, to avoid, accidentally sending a PO to a vendor that's not right.
Yes, definitely. How many has it happened for you?
I have at least 5 that I can document since yesterday.
Wow. Okay.
I can pretty much tell you if it's to another vendor, it's going to be a problem. I have processed a couple for Lakeshore, and I haven't seen any issues with that one. I don't know that I've done any Kaplan's. This was my first discount school supply, and she had ordered 7 items. There were 8 items when there were 15 items when I opened it up, so it duplicated and then added another one. And it's very bizarre, because in the discount school supply, the good thing with that one is, for the most part, it's putting in values of 0, because it must have 0 item numbers in it, except for one item. It actually put in an item number and then added $100 and some odd, because that's how expensive that item was.
Wow. That so really is messed up.
Not consistent in exactly what it's doing from my perspective.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, and I know Bill and Dustin are working on it, so hopefully I'm gonna send them a note, though, to ask if we need to send some sort of notification. Just like you said, to double check.
Because double check, or and anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
All righty.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye. Great weekend, Rick.